Good evening, folks, and a very warm welcome to you on this otherwise cold and wintry Monday night here in G-Town in Geelong. You are watching the Game of Two Halves, powered by the Geelong Region Soccer Show, and proudly brought to you this year by Euro Football Star. Thank you very much to Ray Wood and everyone at Euro Football Star for their backing this year. My name's Tonchi Prusak, and it's an absolute pleasure to be with you tonight. It was going to be a huge show, but unfortunately, at the last minute, it looks like one of our guests in the Global Games segment has pulled out and is not available tonight, but hopefully we will get him on maybe next week. We were going to speak to Jake Godship. He's the former Brisbane Roar women's coach, and he's also a squad member. In fact, he was the analyst for the Filipino women's national team that took part in the World Cup qualifiers for the upcoming Women's World Cup. So he was unfortunately unable to make tonight's program, but that means that effectively we will launch straight into the local game segment tonight. And in our local game segment, we will be talking to, well, I call him the gentleman of the Geelong football scene. He's now the former president of the Corio Soccer Club, Mario Gregorio, who's been a great supporter of this program in the past and has been a regular guest in previous seasons. Last week, he tendered his resignation after almost 6 years at the helm of the Corio Soccer Club during a period which he oversaw. The Bell Park-based club underwent a massive transformation, both on and off the park. We'll be talking to him a little bit later on in the program, and we'll be asking what has led to this sudden decision, or has it been sudden? And we'll also talk. We'll also find out a little bit about what is happening behind the scenes at Corio Soccer Club. A lot has been happening. And on the weekend, they the senior men's team recorded a much-needed win, but it was under the tutelage of someone else other than their usual coach. And we'll find out all about that in the local games segment of the show. Folks, it's a huge show, but before we do get into that, we've got a little bit of an announcement. Football Victoria has announced that the nominations are now open for the Football Victoria Hall of Fame. Folks, this is something that I would love to see personally, someone in Geelong nominated. We've had football in this town for 50, 60, maybe even longer years, and there's bound to be someone that is worthy of being a recipient or an inductee, if you like, of the Football Victoria Hall of Fame. If you go to the Football Victoria website, the article's on the main page, and you can actually click there and it'll take you to the nomination form. It's about a 4-page nomination form, so it's not something hugely massive, but at least let's get someone in who has done a brilliant job for football in Australia or football in Victoria, and that comes from this region. Football Victoria, I'll quickly read it, is accepting nominations for the Football Victoria Hall of Fame. The FE Hall of Fame recognises extraordinary performance over a career by participants who have made a significant contribution to the game in Victoria. There is one category of membership open to players, officials, administrators, and other contributors to the game. The criteria for membership includes, but is not limited to, the following, and is about 6 or 7 points. Exceptional performance sustained over a significant period at the highest levels of the game or its organisation over their career. Nominees shall be considered even if they are not born in Victoria, but rather the emphasis being on their contribution to the state through being involved in the sport. So it could be any one of the many migrants that settled in Geelong, but over the years have contributed a lot to football in this state. Quality of performance, club, league, state, national representation where appropriate, length of service at the highest levels, personal qualities and character, contributions outside the area for which the person is primarily concerned. So if they're a player, for example, maybe they were also a coach, maybe they're also an administrator. So there's many different ways to recognise those people that have done so much for football in Victoria. Folks, we're going to take a very quick break. When we return, it'll be the roundup, the weekend roundup. Some great results, some not so great results, but we'll go through all of that from both the state leagues, the National Premier Leagues, the Victorian Premier League Women's, as well as all of the local stuff as well. So don't go away, folks. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Game of Two Halves podcast. Tonight, it only is one half, and it is straight into the local game segment of tonight's Game of Two Halves podcast. And thank you very, very much once again for joining in and being a part of tonight's show. Now, before we do get into the weekend roundup, folks, every weekend on the Saturday and on the Sunday, we, on the Geelong Region Soccer News Facebook page, we've got a results service, and we ask for your contribution. If you're at any one of the regional suburban grounds and you're taking in whether it's a men's, women's, masters, juniors game, it does not matter. Pop it in the comments section each Saturday on Super Soccer Saturday, and on Sunday, the Super Sunday Soccer post, and keep everyone updated with what is happening around the grounds. What we're trying to do is we're trying to be that one-stop shop, almost like that communal point for all Geelong football fans to be able to come together, because it has been said to me on numerous occasions over the last couple of weeks, we are a fragmented community. In other words, we're all over the shop. Nothing really unifies us. And I guess since the redundancy of Foddy Kiprian, the iconic Football Victoria administrator, who was probably the one person that kind of held all the various factions, if you like, of the local football community together. Without him, things are now, I guess, everyone's doing their own thing. So at least what we're trying to do is we're trying to unify the local the local football community in a sense. Let's start with our weekly roundup, or our weekend roundup, with some very good news. And we're starting right at the top of the tree, the NPL Victoria competition. It was round 18 in the state's elite men's football division, and North Geelong, courtesy of former Lara United junior and ex-Corio soccer player, and indeed North Geelong Warriors player in the past, and he's certainly doing very well at the Warriors now, Lockie McGrath, who scored 2 goals. North Geelong Warriors defeated Hume City 2-1. This was on Saturday night. It was a much-needed win by the Warriors. They now draw on equal points with second-last placed Bentley Greens, who drew 1-1 in their game. But more importantly, this weekend, the Warriors come up against Moreland City, the third-last placed team. Now, Moreland City are very well known to fans of the North Geelong Warriors. They are the team that last year just piped North Geelong on the last day of the season to take out the NPL2 title, despite North Geelong having already secured promotion. So a win and a bit of revenge against Moreland City on Saturday at Alco Park will mean that North Geelong will jump over Moreland City, and Bentley Greens, they've got a pretty difficult game as well this week. I think they're taking on Heidelberg United. So this is an important weekend for the Warriors. So if you are a North Geelong Warrior fan, get down to Alco Park this Saturday at 3 p.m. Now, there's a lot of football happening around town. At 6 p.m. at Stead Park, Geelong will be taking on Box Hill United, another important game. Now, Geelong in recent weeks have really struggled. They've struggled to get a result in NPL 3 Victoria. On the weekend, they lost to Essendon Royals 3-1, and this is a very, very important result because it's meant that Geelong now have dropped down to 10th spot, but they're on equal points as 11th place Beau Morris, as you can see there by the ladder. That's not good. They're hovering dangerously close to the relegation zone. The good news is that Anthony Trajkowski, the captain, came back after about a 6-week absence. He came on in the 53rd minute against the Royals and managed to score Geelong's only goal in the 85th minute. This weekend, Geelong hosts Box Hill United. To say that this is an important game is an understatement. So we need as many football fans from Geelong. Once your game has finished, wherever you are, head down to Stead Park and give the Lions your support. Geelong Soccer Club taking on Box Hill United. That's at 6 p.m. at Stead Park on Saturday. So Geelong and North Geelong, both our NPL teams, desperately need a good result and desperately need to get away from that relegation zone. Now, tonight, folks, we will be talking to the outgoing president of Corio Soccer Club, Mario GREGORIO. On the weekend, a huge result for maybe there was a shock therapy that Corio needed, but a huge result for Corio. Corio defeated Brimbank Stallions 4-1. Jamie Nogler scored 2 goals. Almazi and Engel scored 1 apiece as well. There's been quite a few departures over the last few weeks at Hume Reserve. Obviously, Mario's tendered his resignation. We'll be talking to him a little bit later on. But Ante Didlitzer, the coach, also stepped down after the Strathmore game a couple of weeks ago. Ivan Biskin, who is very, very well known around Geelong football circles, he stepped in as the coach. And under Bicky's reign already, it's proven to be quite positive. A very good win on the weekend against Brimbank Stallions. Now, this week is a real grudge match against Westgate because another departee, Vedran Stojanovic, the club's leading goal scorer a couple of weeks ago, he actually left Corio to take up a position with Westgate. So this is going to be a grudge match in more ways than one, that's for sure. But an important game for Corio. They're hovering just by courtesy of goal difference, just above the relegation zone, as you can see right there. And I tell you what, it's going to be an important result for them this weekend, important game, and they'll be hoping to get a very positive result in the end there. We'll move along to now State 2, where Geelong Rangers is another club. That's the top 4 Geelong men's clubs. They are all either in the drop zone or currently hovering very, very dangerously close to the drop zone. And at the moment, on the weekend, it was definitely 2 points lost, not 1 point gained, when the Rangers held bottom side Epping City to a 0-0 draw. So things aren't looking too well there. But one bright spark of Saturday's game was our ex-North Geelong NPL player, Nick Kosdra, debuted for Rangers, made his first appearance. Now, he'll be obviously in this weekend's game, a squad when they take on Western Suburbs at Myers Reserve at 3 p.m, round 14 clash. Western Suburbs, they defeated Altona East Phoenix on the weekend, and they've now jumped up into second spot. So they'll be very keen to stay in that promotion position. But the Rangers also desperately need a win. So, folks, there are games aplenty in the Geelong region coming up this weekend. Be sure to go to one of the games out there. Rug up. Make sure you've got something nice and warm, and take an umbrella if it looks like it's going to rain. But go out there and enjoy suburban football this weekend. On to State 4, and then we'll look at men's State 5, and then we'll take a little bit of a break. But this is the one division where there is a Geelong club looking like it could be fighting for promotion. Now, as we know, the top team automatically gets promoted. The second team then is engaged at season's end in a playoff contest against the second place team from the State League 4 Northern Division. And the winner of that then progresses through to the State League 3 Northwestern Division. But if we have a look at last weekend's result, Barnstone Worth United 3, Surf Coast 4. So Surf Coast recording yet another win, a very high-scoring result, that one. Christian Mann, John Pikett, Matt Zilowitz and Mayum scoring the goals there. This weekend at Banyulwarri Reserve, get this, at 7 p.m. Saturday night, they will be taking on the Keilor Wolves. Keilor Wolves are currently in 4th position, and they are a direct competitor for that all-important second spot on the competition standings. So a big game coming up at Banyulwarri Reserve. So all you Coasters fans, you know where you're going to head on Saturday night. Earlier in the day, Bell Park will be taking on Spring Hills at the Bell Park Sports Centre. Now, Bell Park, they're only 5 points clear of Spring Hills at the moment, so a win here will certainly push them away from that relegation zone to relative safety. Now, on the weekend, they drew with Melbourne City 2-2. Not a bad result away from home. Zach Tuchak and Nick Nugent scoring the goals there for the All Whites. Bowen hosted Moonee Valley Knights at home last Saturday, and unfortunately could only manage a 2-3 result. They lost to the Knights, who are on the equal amount of points as Surf Coast. So Bowen unfortunately couldn't do fellow alongside Surf Coast a favour and take some points off the Knights. But Billy Robinson and the prolific young sharpshooter Milton Bailey, they got themselves on the score sheet for the Blue and Whites. Bowen will be travelling to Arndale Park Reserve this Saturday night for a 7 p.m. kickoff with Truganina Hornets. Lowly Truganina Hornets. And just like Bell Park, Bowen have got a really good opportunity now to move into that middle of the table and definitely get away from the relegation spotlight. And certainly last but not least, we're moving now to State League 5. Firstly, Surfside Waves travelled to Bendigo City and unfortunately suffered a 9-1 hammering at the hands of the Bendigo City club. This weekend, they're at home to Wyndham FC. That game kicks off at 3 p.m. at Shell Road Reserve. Lara United, they're back. They bounced back to winning ways with a 6-1 thumping of lowly Tarney United. Despite not having the league's top goal scorer, Tristan McGrath, Jordan Nelson scored 2. Oscar Mayondo scored 2. Joel Matuch and Lockie Lazarich also got their names on the score sheets. And that was a much-needed win for Lara United, who cement their middle-of-the-table position. But they're only 5 points away from second-place West Point and only 3 points away from third-place Melton Phoenix. So if they can get on a good roll and get some really good results coming their way, there is no doubt that they could be fighting for a promotion spot or, in the worst-case scenario, a qualifying spot. This week, Lara United host bottom side ETA Buffalo Club, so here's an opportunity to get a good percentage booster. And if you look at those sides above them, Bendigo City plus 33, Melton Phoenix plus 40, West Point plus 38, and up the top Balmoral plus 40. Goal difference can become, could quite possibly become a crucial factor in this, deciding which team finishes higher on the competition standings. And last but not least, Deakin University travelled to Balmoral Park and they took on the Invincibles that are Balmoral, came away with a 2-0 loss. So they did reasonably well there. Now, next weekend, they're also on the road. They travel to McPherson Park up at Melton, where they will be taking on Melton Phoenix. So, look, this could be a very important game for Deakin Uni. If they can cause a bit of an upset, they might even do Lara United a huge favour. Well, that brings us to the end of the Saturday competition, so to speak, the men's competition. We're going to take a very short break. When we return, we'll be looking at the women's competitions, the State League and the Victorian Premier League Women's. And we'll also take a look at what's happening locally in the Geelong region as well. Folks, don't go away. It's the Game of Two Halves. We are the local game segment. As the first solar tube skylight installer in Victoria, Scotsco Skylighting has nearly 30 years of experience and offers a variety of services including custom-made skylights, high-quality Velux skylights, and a variety of solar tube daylighting systems. The benefits of having the skylight in your home are many. They let natural light into your space, and with that light comes solar heat, improving your mood and even helping with performance in workplaces. Plus, heating your home with sunlight can save on heating costs during the chilly seasons. Cosmetic changes like skylights can add equity into your home, and, similar to adding mirrors on the walls, skylights can make a room feel bigger and more spacious. It's about time you enjoyed all these benefits plus more. So what are you waiting for? To get a free daylight assessment and installation quote, call our founder and owner Adrian Begg on 0409 823 177 or visit our website at www.scotscoskylights.com.au. Scotsco Skylighting is proudly Geelong owned and operated. Welcome back to the Game of Two Halves podcast. Look, it would be remiss of me not to make a special cheerio. Look at him. He's over in Italy. He's just landed in Rome, and now mate Santino Mamone. He's already tuning in via the World Wide Web. So cheerio to you, Santino, over in Roma. And there we go. We've got an international audience tonight as well. Thanks to everyone who's popping up in the commentary section. We said, who have we got tuning in tonight? Tell us which club you support. And the only person that's said anything is Pete Bradley, Coventry City. Yes, he'll be. Didn't say anything that he supports Geelong Rangers. That's not nice, Pete. Come on. Pete Bradley, heavily involved with Geelong Rangers, does a lot of good things up there at Myers Reserve. Okay, let's continue with our weekend roundup. There's not too many more games to cover on, but let's turn our attention to the women's VPL. It was round 13 in the Victorian Premier League women's competition. Geelong Galaxy came up against top side Essendon Royals at Hume Reserve yesterday. Unfortunately for the local girls, they came away with a 0-3 result. Essendon Royals solidifying their spot at the top of the competition standings after 13 rounds. We find this week they will be coming up against South Yarra at the Ron Barassi Reserve That game kicks off at 3 p.m. South Yarra, as we can see, are currently in 8th position. Geelong Galaxy in 6th. So they maintaining that middle of the road record at the moment. 6 wins and 6 losses the Galaxy have had. So they'll be certainly looking to try and change that result so it's more in favour of the win record than it is for the loss record. Women's State League 1, and this one's always very, very interesting from a local perspective because we've got 3 women's teams here, North Geelong, Lara United and Geelong Rangers. Over the weekend, Lara United hosted Clifton Hill, and unfortunately for the local side, Clifton Hill walked away with a 3-1 win. Izzy Wilkinson, prolific goal scorer for Lara United, she scored Lara's only goal. In round 10 action, round 11 actions, should I say. No, actually, round 10. This is round 9. It's incorrectly written up there. In round 10 action, Lara United will travel to Craigieburn City, bottom side Craigieburn City, who play at Aston Fields. Now, Craigieburn City, as you can see, 8 wins, 8 losses. So Lara will be very, very confident that they'll be able to notch their 5th win of the season. It was a battle between 2nd and 3rd. Keilor Park hosted our North Geelong Warriors. And unfortunately for the locals, Keilor Park ran out 6-3 winners. The goal scorers for North Geelong included Maeve McKenna, Maya Popplewell and Miller Parkin. And this week, the North Geelong Warriors travelled to the magnificent City Vista Pavilion in Caroline Springs to take on Caroline Springs George Cross. Meanwhile, Bundoora United, the top team, who are absolutely invincible at the moment, 9 games and 9 wins, they hosted our Geelong Rangers, and Geelong Rangers came away with a 6-0 loss. Next week, the Rangers once again travel to Quarries Park, this time in Clifton Hill, to take on Clifton Hill, who defeated Lara United. So they'll be looking to exact some revenge on the Clifton Hill side that defeated our girls this week. All right, let's moving along now to the local league competition. And first of all, it's the Geelong Region Men's Division 1. On the weekend, in the Battle of the Cellar Dwellers, Geelong Rangers defeated Bowenheads 3-0. Bell Park defeated Armstrong United to maintain their lead at the top of the competition standings. Surf Coast and Barwon White drew 0-0 at Grovedale Reserve, while at Howard Glover Reserve, Breakwater Eagles drew 2-2 with Barwon Blues. So if we take a look there at the competition standings after the completion of round 8, Bell Park on top with 18 points, Surf Coast 16, followed by Barwon Blue on 14, and then 2 teams on 10, Armstrong United in making up the top 4 with a slightly better goal difference, and then FC Leopold just outside the top 4 on 10 points. Then we've got Barwon White, Breakwater Eagles, Geelong Rangers, and Barwon Heads at the foot of the Division 1 standings. On to the women's division. Armstrong United defeated Drysdale 1-0. It was Drysdale's second loss in a row. Bell Park defeated Corio Bay 2-0 to maintain their lofty position at the top of the women's league. Barwon defeated Deakin Ducks Black 4-2 to make a really interesting battle, a 4-way battle for that second spot between Barwon, Drysdale, Lara United and Armstrong United, who've all got 15 points. Lara United continued on their winning ways with a 4-1 win over Golden Plains. Surf Coast defeated Geelong 4-2. But the results of the other 2 games, Barwon Heads and Deakin Ducks Gold, and Surfside Waves and FC Leopold, we do not know because they were not updated, unfortunately. And folks, that brings us to the end of the weekly roundup, and it will be time straight after this very short break to speak to our guest tonight. Can't wait for this one. This will be a really, really good chat. Don't go away. It is the chat with he's the now former president of the Corio Soccer Club, but he's still staying in some capacity. We'll find out in which capacity. It's Mario Gregorio. We'll be chatting to him straight after this break. Mist Air Conditioning and Mechanical Services is one of Geelong's premier domestic air conditioning companies. The company is a venture by the directors of a major commercial mechanical services company which has over 45 years combined experience in the air conditioning sector all over Australia. Our service and vast industry connections will ensure that Mist AC will not only be competitive in price, it will also get you, the client, ongoing service needs for your home or office. With a 7-year guarantee on all our workmanship, you can rest assured you will never be left out in the cold. Whether you are renovating or building your new family home, Mist can provide all types of ducted, split or reverse cycle air conditioning for your environment. We offer a total solution suitable to your family's needs. To find out more, visit our website at www.misthc.com.au or email us at info@misthc.com.au or call us now on 5278 6478. Welcome back to the Game of Two Halves, powered by the Geelong Region Soccer Show. And before we get to our next guest, become a member of the Game of Two Halves podcast and receive the exclusive Geelong weekly football news bulletin every Friday. It contains exclusive articles about the Geelong football scene, and it only costs $5 per month. $5 per month, and you can sign up at www.patreon.com/Geelong Region Soccer Show. Only $5 per month, not per week, not per day, per month. And you'll be able to receive every Friday a bulletin. Contains about a half a dozen originally written articles about the Geelong football scene. It's now my pleasure to introduce tonight's guest. He's the gentleman of the Geelong football scene, and he's been heavily responsible, let's say, put it that way, for the major transformation that has happened at Hume Reserve over the past 6 years. It's an absolute pleasure to introduce Mario GREGORIO. Mario, how are you? Welcome to tonight's show.
How are you, Tonchi? I'm well.
I'm really well, mate, really well. Thanks for coming on the show tonight. But yeah, last week you made the big announcement that you were deciding to pull the plug on your role as president at Corio Soccer Club. Tell us what led to that decision being made.
Yeah, look, as per my statement, it's been a tough year regarding business, and as a lot of people in the community know, soccer can take a lot of volunteers' times and presidents' sort of time and committee members' times, and I just felt that I wasn't really focusing on business, and I just felt the time was right for me to step down. And I'm not leaving the club in an absolute total shambles. So I thought the time was right, and I can now concentrate a little bit more on business matters. Look, I'm still heavily involved at the club, so I haven't just walked away totally. Still love the club. I'm still there, every week and at match days, and I'll do whatever it takes to basically help us get through the year this year, particularly for our seniors.
Yeah. Well, first of all, is there a replacement, or has there anyone been mooted as a possible or touted as a possible replacement to take over?
Yeah, look, no one's taken over as yet, but look, we are in confidential talks to a few other people to take over from the role. So we're hoping to bring someone fresh and new into the club, someone that can, give us some fresh ideas. It's been 7 years. Maybe I was probably getting a little bit stale. Mm-hmm. I could be sometimes a little bit hard-headed, pig-headed, and someone new might, hopefully bring the club another step forward.
Yeah. Let's talk about when you first came on board. I mean, look, it's certainly Hume Reserve was definitely not what it is today. Back in 2017 when you first came, was it 2017 or 2016?
Yeah, it was sort of towards the end of 2016.
Yeah,
and, we were sort of we just avoided relegation from State 2 to State 3. Zolly and his brother Steve Lutzo asked me if I could take over, and I sort of was voted in at an AGM in 2016. And yeah, look, the club wasn't in a great way, but look, our first goal was to get promoted from State 2 to State 1, build a little bit of a status with our senior team, and then build our juniors, which, the hard-working committee in particular, Slavko Pantelic, has done a great job with. So, we started with 0 juniors, and now we've got 210 juniors. So it's testament to the great work of our committee.
Yeah. Now, obviously, one of the hardest things was the facilities. We'd seen the Hume Reserve club rooms, the derelict club rooms that
Yeah.
nothing had been done for 40 years, and those people that remember the heyday of Hume Reserve, when it was, there were 6 fields there or something like that back in the
Mm.
day, with North Geelong Warriors and Corio Cloverdale and Geelong United, or Corio, the predecessor to that, all used the ground in some way or shape or another. But it was not. It was, what was the hardest thing with having facilities like that, or
Yeah.
derelict facilities like that? Because I know you tried to get women's teams up and running and things like that. Was it easy or hard to attract
No,
just
it was.
players in general?
Yeah, it was difficult. I mean, we sort of had two sort of facilities, one with our change rooms, and another 100 metres away was our club rooms. It made it very difficult to attract players, to attract juniors, and to attract women's teams. But look, we did it the hard way with our juniors. It was a slow sort of progression. We did that via cheap fees of $100 only.
Yeah,
And we built our juniors from 0 up to 100 within 2 or 3 years. And then when the new facilities came, then we've, naturally, because had a huge jump. And so we've basically capped it at 210 at the moment. We
yeah.
could take a lot more. We're still getting phone calls every day, like I guess a lot of other clubs are. But yeah, we've capped it at 210 juniors, and the new facilities have been great. We take great pride. Everyone wants to help and clean the tables, clean carpet, clean the walls, clean the deck. Yeah, it's a great facility. I love it. It just feels like home for everyone.
Yeah. If we look up there, though, we've got a guest there. That's your guest this week. But on the left-hand side there's a photo of you holding up the cup. Now, this was in the local Geelong Region competition, but it's that particular photo holds a real special place in your heart, Mario. You were telling me off air that it was a very special photo for several reasons. Tell us what made that particular photo special, and that era. Was that in 2017? I think.
Yeah, it was in 2017. We actually started that comp 6 matches into the competition.
Mm-hmm.
So we were 0-6 after 6 rounds. There was a group of young Afghani boys who pleaded with myself to start a team in the local Sunday League. We started at round 7, and then we basically completed the season undefeated and won the championship and the final. And yeah, that sort of holds dear to my heart, because a lot of the Afghani boys get ostracised in the community, and I felt pleased with myself, but also other members of the Corio Soccer Club are happy to be able to help integrate these young boys into our community. And a lot of them now have become, because they've been integrated, they feel part of the community. A lot of them have now formed their own businesses, painters, renderers. They've all done a fantastic job, builders. So yeah, they are very good young boys, and I'm happy that the Corio Soccer Club has been able to help them in our community.
Yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned that the club was a catalyst for them integrating into the community. You're of Italian extraction. I'm of Croatian extraction. We know, and there's so many people around Geelong who, Polish, Hungarian, Serbian, Macedonian, you name it. They've got very similar stories of, back in the 60s, back in the 70s, when some of our forefathers came to this city. And the same thing happened there. And it's just great that football is that world game, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Look, they are really nice kids, a lot of them, and I'm just so pleased that a lot of them have been able to move on with their lives in this great city of Geelong, and nearly all of them have basically got businesses now and doing
Yeah.
fantastic, hardworking young boys.
Brilliant, brilliant. Now, speaking of the international element, Mario, here this year we've changed the name of the show from Geelong Region Soccer Show to Game of Two Halves, and we've got the global game segment in the first half, and then we've got the local game segment. And the whole aim was to maybe take the local game and give it an international flavour, a global flavour, because we are the world game. And Corio Soccer Club, under your supervision, under your guidance over the last maybe 4 or 5 years, has become a real destination club for a lot of internationals.
Yeah.
So coming to Geelong, and let's talk about that. Let's talk about some of the names that have, first of all, come to Corio, and then maybe moved on to other clubs, or they've got a bit of a foothold playing here. But there've been
Yeah.
some fantastic names over the
Yeah. Look,
last 6 years.
I guess we decided that we needed to follow what other teams were doing in the around Victoria, and that was to bring in some visa players and quality players. We've brought in players like Ethan Gage, who then moved on to Bentley Greens, Tyron Hutchins, who moved on to North Geelong and was
Yep.
catalyst for them to get promoted to NPL1. Curtis Bateson, probably one of the best footballers I've seen playing Geelong. 18 goals and 16 assists. Unbelievable player. He was of League One quality, and somehow I was able to snatch him to come to Corio.
And how were you able to do that, Mario? Like, did the reputation slowly get around, or did you just have a
No,
good
that was just a
scouting?
bit of luck. Just an agent. With Curtis, an agent gave me a video. Within 5 minutes, we snapped him up, and he took our offer. And now we've got a couple of boys from Japan and Argentina, and also a great young lad and player from Romania, Cassian Angel, who's a fantastic player. He's a real quality. This young kid
Scored on the weekend, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He's quality. He played 3-4 years at National League level in England, and also played in 4th Division in Spain. So he's real quality, and we've helped him helped him integrate into Geelong society, and he loves it. Loves the Australian way of life.
Yeah, fantastic. Now let's talk about the weekend game that was had, and we'll bring up the slide there. Well, first of all, let's have a look at the scorers for the senior game. Jamie Nogler, Cassian Engel, and Festim Elmazi scoring. Well, Jamie Nogler scored a double. Cassian and Festim scored one each. The reserves also good 4-0 win there. Habib Shakuri, he scored a hat-trick, and Theo Contageorgis scored one as well. And on the right, we've got the new Corio coach. That's a little bit of an older photo of him. I'm sure he won't mind that one. Ivan Biskin. Bicky was part of the furniture there. He was an assistant coach with Bobby Stojcevski. And actually, we heard Bobby Stojcevski signed with Altona North today.
Yeah, he has.
Yeah,
he has. So he's signed on with Altona North. But look, Bicky, he was probably the calming influence that we needed at the club. The reserve players, do respect him. And look, he was calm and collected even after we were 1-0 down at halftime. He said, "Boys, it's going to happen." We were playing very, very well structured under his new sort of system we're playing. And we came out of all guns blazing. It was 4-1, and it could have easily been 7-1. I felt so. Testament to Bicky, great coach. It took a little bit of convincing, I guess, but look, he's there to help the Corio Soccer Club. He's adamant that he wants us to stay in State 1. We need to have a club in State 1 in this city, and Bicky's hopefully we can achieve that goal.
And absolutely. Looking at some of the Veshko Bigovic says best game in years. So well done there, and a big game obviously this weekend. We've spoken about that. Westgate. It's going to be a tough game, obviously. And
it's a tough game.
If we bring up the ladder there, we can just obviously see Westgate are fighting for a spot in the promotion department. I think on the weekend, if I'm not mistaken, they may have even lost if I'm not wrong. Yeah, they did, didn't they?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to bring up the score here. Yeah, to Whittlesea United, and Whittlesea United, as a result, jumped over. So they'll be really keen, obviously, to jump back on the winners list. But I guess they're a little bit wounded now as well. Maybe their pride, maybe their confidence is wounded. Maybe do you see this as a real danger game, or is this a game of opportunity for Corio?
Look, I guess they are our friendly sort of rivals, Westgate. We do have a lot of supporters of Serbian background, similar to what Westgate are, and with Fedrun leaving to go there. Look, we're confident after last week's win, and hopefully we can get them back down again. They've had a bad loss on the weekend, and we're confident. We haven't lost actually at Westgate for a while, to be honest. The last few years we've always been managed to draw or win against Westgate, so we'll go into this game confident, and the players are confident too, and they're really buzzing at the moment following the win.
Yeah, we'll bring that ladder up again. There we go. Corio in third last position at the moment with 12 points. A
Yeah,
pretty good goal difference, I must say, for a
it is.
team that's in 10th position.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we've only managed to lose games by a single goal margin. We had one bad loss against Whittlesea United, 4-0. But Whittlesea are a class team, a class act. So
Yeah.
look, we're still. It's a battle. It's like every team in Geelong. A lot of teams are suffering at the moment, but hopefully we can have a couple of good results. I've been told the magical figure for us to reach is 23 points, which will help us avoid relegation. So we need to obtain 11 points in the last 9 games.
Now, if we put into perspective the firepower at Hume Reserve, and yes, Vedran Stojanovic was and he currently is the leading goal scorer at Corio, despite having moved. But you look at the goals for section, 24 goals scored. Now, if you go further up the competition standings, the team that's in top position, Altona City, have only scored 1 goal more in
Yeah,
12 games. So that's an incredible statistic. And I
yeah.
guess on the weekend we saw Jamie Nogler scored 2, Festi Malmazi scored 1. Is there enough firepower at the moment, even without Stojanovic? Is there enough firepower there at Hume Reserve to be able to get those 23 points that you say is critical for survival?
I think there is. Look, one thing we've got to try and tighten up is our back line. We have conceded 25 goals.
Mm.
Ivan made the decision to drop Billy Agaros back in defence, and that basically helped us with a bit of speed on the flanks to deter any danger from the wings.
Yep.
So look with Cassin coming in, he's a class number 10, providing he links up well with Jamie and Festim, and we also have a Japanese winger Shui, who's also quite a good player. We're confident. We've had a wide spread of goal scorers, and 24 goals in 13 games is excellent. I feel it's just that we've got to stop the goals leaking through our defence.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
look, Jackson Davis will probably will start off next week with a couple of injuries. So yeah, we're confident with Jackson in defence, along with Cameron and Callum Ferguson and Billy. We've got a good defence. Hopefully, we'll hold them out and hold out Vedran.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. We're speaking with Mario Gregorio, he's now the former president of Corio Soccer Club, the outgoing president of Corio Soccer Club. We're going to take a short break, Mario. When we return, we're going to talk about the football scene here in Geelong. What's good, what's not so good, and especially in this day and age, when we've got the Women's World Cup, we're going to talk a little bit about women's football as well. So, folks, don't go away. We'll be back very, very shortly after this short break. As the first solar tube skylight installer in Victoria, Scotsco Skylighting has nearly 30 years of experience and offers a variety of services including custom-made skylights, high-quality Velux skylights, and a variety of solar tube daylighting systems. The benefits of having the skylight in your home are many. They let natural light into your space, and with that light comes solar heat, improving your mood and even helping with performance in workplaces. Plus, heating your home with sunlight can save on heating costs during the chilly seasons. Cosmetic changes like skylights can add equity into your home, and, similar to adding mirrors on the walls, skylights can make a room feel bigger and more spacious. It's about time you enjoyed all these benefits plus more. So what are you waiting for? To get a free daylight assessment and installation quote, call our founder and owner Adrian Begg on 0409 823 177 or visit our website at www.scotscoskylights.com.au. Scotsco Skylighting is proudly Geelong owned and operated. Welcome back to the Game of Two Halves podcast, powered by the Geelong Region Soccer Show. We're talking to the outgoing president, or now the former president of Corio Soccer Club, Mario Gregorio. Now, Mario, we talked about the facilities, and it's something that didn't happen overnight. And I know from a personal thing, when I worked at Football Victoria, and I worked very closely with yourself and Gary Cole, the former Socceroo, who was involved with the facilities, and that's going back 2018, 2017. Yeah. When it was worked. So it's something that obviously doesn't happen overnight. There's a lot of work behind the scenes. But I guess one of the other positives of the magnificent facilities and the club rooms has been finally the ability to attract a lot of female footballers to Hume Reserve. And One of those clubs, obviously, is the Galaxy, Geelong Galaxy, who are now calling Hume Reserve home. But also a lot of the girls that are playing juniors, whether it be for Galaxy or for Corio Soccer Club as well. Mate, it must really make you happy that Hume Reserve now has become such a happening place and a real football epicentre. And it's not just like once used to be just a blokes only club, but it's a real hive of family activity now.
Yeah, it is. I mean, in 2017, we were a blokes only club, but now we've got 70 junior girls of our own, and we've got 80 to 90 girls and women's players from Galaxy. It's a great hive of activity on a Wednesday and Thursday night when we've got the meals happening through our kitchen. A lot of the Galaxy girls feel comfortable to come into our club rooms, enjoy a meal on Wednesday and Thursdays, and it's fantastic. It's great. We've had now we've got a lot of women volunteers and a lot of women on our committee now. So yeah, it's great, and you can only do that through good, clean facilities. What we had in the past, you couldn't attract nobody. It was just a blokes club, as you said.
Yeah, very hard to attract anyone. Here's a chance to now give a bit of a plug to your committee, who have been some of the people, particularly over the last few years, but most notably who have helped you achieve some of those those changes.
Of course, Salami's been fantastic to help attract juniors to our club. He was instrumental in getting Galaxy across the line to the Corio Soccer Club. I've got Jay and Tanya in our committee as well. Mickey and Eleanor Patara, Zolly Lutzo, of course. He's just part of the furniture at Corio Soccer Club. Johnny Diesel, John Smith, and we've also got a new member to our committee, Danny Biscuit, as well. So and hopefully we'll attract a few more people to our committee as well. So. And also I can't forget Richie Pryor. Is always in the kitchen helping out, always there as a marshal, always doing everything he can, cleaning. So yeah, it's good. And basically, people want to be part of a club that's it's good, clean facilities. When it's dirty, people don't want to be around it. And now it's important that we all clean the place and keep it fresh every week.
But before the club rooms actually happened, there was a lot of work done on the irrigation of the pitches, both pitches 1 and pitch 2. And also the floodlights as well. So there's been it's been a real kind of like in various stages.
Yeah, it has
happened.
I guess the one thing which probably, and we always talk about, and I talk with a lot of the old North Geelong people. It would have been great if we could have kept North Geelong there and had 6 grounds and had a mini stadium at Hume Reserve, because Hume Reserve to me is still the epicenter of football in Geelong. But anyway, look, there's 2 pitches there plus the other one at the back there. But yeah, look, it is the hive activity, Hume Reserve, for football in Geelong, and always will be.
Yeah, I agree with you, mate. Mate, a lot has changed. We've talked about the transformation that's under the massive transformation that has happened at Hume Reserve and at Corio Soccer Club as well. But look, it's not just the last 6 years that you've been president. Your late father was heavily involved in the Geelong United. You've been around as a player, as an administrator. You've seen a lot happen in Geelong over the last 3 or so decades, maybe even more. Where are we in your eyes now? And I guess you can freely talk. You're not bound by being a president or having to be diplomatic. But where are we with the state of soccer in Geelong?
I probably won't even include Geelong. I'll probably include Victoria and even Football Australia. But when you look at football in Australia as an entirety, we probably should be following what's been happening overseas. In Serie D in Italy, they decided to implement the 421 player rule. That stops clubs by just buying players into their teams and wasting money. We waste far too much money on players, and players will hate me saying that, but there are clubs in State 1 spending $200,000 to $300,000 now. Half that money should be put into infrastructure, into coaching and that. Wouldn't it be great if North Geelong could have been playing NPL 1 and each team were on an equal footing and had to play 421s? North Geelong would be sitting near the bottom of the ladder now. They'd probably be mid-table if they had the 421 rule, because they've got a great junior system. Geelong Rangers as well. We're all up against it because clubs in Melbourne are just spending way too much money and wasting it. In Spain, 4th division, players only get €100 a game. In State One, there are players getting $1,000 to $1,500 a
That's
week,
insane.
and
Oh,
and
yeah.
and football Victoria, because say we're meant to be amateur clubs, and only paying a travel allowance $120 per game per player. I'll say it right now, bullshit.
Yeah.
They all know it happens, but we need to do something to help us get the young players into our football senior structure, and it's just not happening at the moment because clubs are going, well, we've got to spend money because everyone else is spending money. Whether they introduce a point system like they used to in the NPL days a few years ago, or a blanket 421 rule to get the young players playing, that's probably the easiest way to do it.
Yeah, but if we're talking State One, but like I speak to a lot of coaches from around the Geelong area, and even as low as State 4 and State 5. I know Lara United coach Eric Lawrence has said to me, even in State 5, some of the clubs that have got unbelievable resources
$100,000
and money,
budgets.
it's insane. It's insane at that level. So they're basically buying themselves championships and,
That's
and
right.
titles and all of that kind of stuff. But having said that, Corio, a small club with a meager budget, still has in years gone by managed to what's the word? Not only be competitive, but in some cases have outperformed some clubs
we're
from
probably
Melbourne
at
that
the
have got
bottom.
massive budgets.
Yeah, and look, and the same goes for North Geelong and Geelong Soccer Club and Rangers, and we're probably in the bottom 4 budgets in State One, and we're up against it. You might as well just have a table of who's got the best budget, because the team has got the best budget normally wins in NPL 1, 2, and 3 in State One and State Two. So it's difficult. It can be challenging. Basically, you're cooking. Every club is cooking chavapi rolls to basically pay players and overpaying them just to stay in the league.
Yeah.
So, football Victoria and football Australia need to have a hard look at themselves and say, let's look at what they've done in the lower divisions and overseas. I think a 21 under 21 player rule could work well. And North Geelong wouldn't be on the bottom of the ladder because their junior football structure is fantastic, is phenomenal, and so is Rangers, and so is Geelong, and Corio will get there too. Our under 14 team is a great bunch of young kids in a few years' time. Wouldn't it be great if at the age of 17, 18 that a few of those kids were playing seniors? But coaches and clubs are always a little bit hesitant to do that because other clubs are spending big money attracting big players.
Now, speaking of big money, junior football, there's been so many discussions, so many talking points about the cost of junior football, and in NPL circles, in particular in Melbourne, most of those clubs are charging well over $2,000 a year.
Yeah,
just to go. It's insane. One of the things that Corio has been trying to do with the aid of many blue chip sponsors is to reduce the cost of registration with great success. And as you mentioned, in 3 years you went from 0 to 200 plus players. That's incredible. How do we manage to keep the cost of registration down? For juniors, let's talk about juniors now.
First thing we need to do is NPL clubs have got to pay a license fee of $40,000 to $50,000.
That's insane.
It's insane. So what do they do? They have to pass on that to the juniors, and then they have to then also hire a technical director, which doesn't come cheap. That's probably $40,000-$50,000. So they're already $100,000, behind already, and the only way they can do that is charge ridiculous fees. And junior coaches are probably getting $300 to $400 a week as well. So to get the best coaches, you've got to pay them, and unfortunately, that gets translated into fees being high in this country. It's ridiculous. I don't know whether has the NPL system worked. I'm not quite sure. It's certainly not allowing some of the kids from poorer, economic families not to be able to play NPL, top junior football. But first thing is to stop those ridiculous administration fees. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It shouldn't happen. Overseas, most academy kids pay $0 to play for Barnsley, like Chapman.
Angus Chapman.
Angus, it was $0 to play in an academy. Here we're paying $2,500, $3,000 for the kid to join an academy or NPL juniors. Ridiculous.
Now, in speaking of academies, in Geelong there isn't so much of a prevalence or I guess the presence of a lot of these private academies, and the ones that we do have in Geelong generally run clinics and generally run programs for kids that aren't playing soccer, or in the off season they're doing things like elite programs for those kids that are a little bit higher. But in Melbourne, and particularly down along the western belt, so Werribee, Wyndham, Laverton, Point Cook, there's a lot of academies that run their own private programs, and to varying degrees. Some of them are fantastic, some of them are just money grabbers. But
it's money grabs.
But yeah, and a lot of them, look, let's be honest, a lot of them do fill a vacuum that is currently not being filled. But a few years back, you looked at the idea of possibly maybe even setting up something at Corio Soccer Club, like an academy and that kind of stuff. Is it just the cost at the moment, or is it the lack of quality coaching, or is it a combination of both, or is there something else that stops us from doing those type of things?
A lot of our time and money is spent with, propping up our senior team, I guess. It's hard the best juniors are already playing in NPL clubs in Geelong, and they're already forking, just say, for instance, $1,500 to $2,000. I think the local NPL clubs are charging for their juniors. To then ask parents to fork out another $50 a session or something is probably a little bit too much. But wouldn't it be great if they didn't have to charge that excessive fees, regio fees, and then they could then do a little bit of a academy training at cost price or something, or for $5 or $10 or whatever it is, to give them an extra opportunity to train or do more hours of football training. But it's difficult, Look, it's a big catchment area. We haven't got such a big catchment area.
Yeah, true.
Look, a lot of fathers in Melbourne, probably, they spend the $2,500, and then we're happy to pay $50 to $100 a session for academy training because everyone thinks their son's a superstar, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. We've spoken a lot about the negatives, all right?
Yeah.
But there must surely be a lot of positives as well. And what if over the last, say, 6 years of you being president, obviously you go to a lot of the Geelong Region Football Committee meetings, the monthly meetings, you deal with a lot of the other clubs. What have been some of your fondest memories, or what have been some of the fondest achievements that you've either been a part of or you've seen happen over the last 6 years?
Look, I think the number of clubs growing in Geelong has been phenomenal in the last 10 years in particular. Number of juniors has increased. So I feel that a lot of parents are now moving their kids away from maybe from junior football, junior AFL, and moving across to junior football because it's an easy game to play. It's head injuries is not so prevalent as well in junior soccer. So the growth in our game, particularly in the juniors, is phenomenal. I think it's about 4,500. I think I might be wrong, but there's 22 local clubs in Geelong region, and over 4,500 juniors. And let's not forget about the number of senior teams as well. In our Division 1, 2 and 3 in the local men's, and also in the women's as well. So it's growing. Junior female football is growing as well at a massive rate. So yeah, that's been a phenomenal. It's great to go to the local Geelong Regional Football Association meeting with all the presidents and see 23 presidents at the meetings. It's fantastic. I remember at the start there's probably only about 10 of us or something, and now it's grown by more than double.
Fantastic, yeah. Look, being a president is not an easy thing. It's a very difficult role. It's an all-consuming role. Just in the last couple of months, I suppose, we've seen also Lisa Brooks from Geelong Rangers has also stepped down. Yourself has as well. And over the past few years, we've seen quite a few presidents come and go. But it takes up a lot of time, takes up a lot of commitment. Yeah. But as the president of a club, and you oversee a lot of things, what are some of the things that really kind of you'll take away from it as lasting memories and maybe even legacy items as well?
Yeah, I don't like to consider myself to to be put on a pedestal or anything like that. But look, Corio Soccer Club is dear to my heart. My father in 1973 drove me from East Geelong to Hume Reserve, and I played my first game as a junior with Corio Soccer Club. And I guess one of the fondest memories I'll have is when the new facilities were built, and I was able to show my father through the new facility, and then he was proud as punch for me, and that'll be dear to my heart. But I don't like to be held on a pedestal, because I wouldn't have been able to do it without the committee helping me build the juniors, because the council wouldn't have spent the money they did if we didn't have any juniors, and also didn't attract Geelong Galaxy to our club. So I think collectively, as a whole, the whole committee and the supportive base and all that, and the players can be proud of what we've achieved. And I'm just happy to be part of it.
Absolutely. And speaking of happy to be a part of it, you're still going to remain involved with the senior operations at Corio Soccer Club.
Yeah, of course.
And who knows, now that you're focusing on that and solely focusing on that, maybe the team on the park will also start to do well. And it started last week. So, the only way's up, as they say.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, look, sometimes I could be, I'd be nervous, and maybe that nervous sort of feeling that I had probably translated onto the players. So I was a lot more relaxed on the weekend and all that, and maybe that translated onto the players as well. So anyway, look, I'm proud. Hopefully we can stay in State 1. It's important that we do, and I basically hope all Geelong teams can stay up in their respective divisions. Particularly the NPL teams and Rangers and all that. Let's hope we all do it. We need strong football in this town.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. Mario, thank you very much for being a part of tonight's show. We really, really appreciate it. And judging by the viewer numbers tonight and the people that have tuned in, it has, you've certainly you've left a lasting legacy, that's for sure, as a president. But your involvement is still going to be quite strong with the Corio Soccer Club, and we wish you and everyone at Corio Soccer Club all the very, very best. And whoever the new president is, hopefully they can achieve half of what you achieved over the last half a dozen years. And I tell you what, Corio Soccer Club and the Geelong football scene will be in a far healthier situation. So we really appreciate that.
No, and thanks, Tonky, for the great show you put on every week. You've been fantastic with the Geelong Advertiser articles, and also with this show. And come on, everyone, we need to support Tonchi and all that. And let's join it for $5 a month only.
That's right. And on a personal level, not many people know, but the people that do matter, I guess they do know. Mario, you were very instrumental, and you were the main instigator for soccer articles being returned back to the Geelong Advertiser, in which I do every week. So on a personal level and on behalf of the football community in Geelong, thank you very much, because you were the one that pushed it, had meetings with the then sports editor, and pushed it through the GRFC, and ultimately we managed to get soccer back on the pages of the Geelong Advertiser.
All right. Thanks, Tonchi. Anyway, appreciate that.
Good on you. Mario Gregorio, the now former president of the Corio Soccer Club. Folks, we're going to take a very, very short break. When we return, we'll wrap things up, and then we'll look towards next week as well. Don't go away. It's been a very riveting episode of the Game of Two Halves, powered by the Geelong Region Soccer Show. Mist Air Conditioning and Mechanical Services is one of Geelong's premier domestic air conditioning companies. The company is a venture by the directors of a major commercial mechanical services company which has over 45 years combined experience in the air conditioning sector all over Australia. Our service and vast industry connections will ensure that Mist AC will not only be competitive in price, it will also get you, the client, ongoing service needs for your home or office. With a 7-year guarantee on all our workmanship, you can rest assured you will never be left out in the cold. Whether you are renovating or building your new family home, Mist can provide all types of ducted, split or reverse cycle air conditioning for your environment. We offer a total solution suitable to your family's needs. To find out more, visit our website at www.misthc.com.au or email us at info@misthc.com.au or call us now on 5278 6478. Welcome back to the Game of Two Halves podcast, powered by the Geelong Region Soccer Show and brought to you by our major sponsor for 2023, Euro Football Star. Unfortunately, we didn't have the global game segment this week, but that allowed us to have a very, very comprehensive, in detail chat with our guest for tonight, former president of the Corio Soccer Club, Mario Gregorio. Folks, that brings us to the end of tonight's show. But before we do that, Become a member of the Game of Two Halves podcast and receive the exclusive Geelong Weekly Football News Bulletin every Friday, straight to your inbox. Yeah, you can sign up now for as little as $5 per month, which is just pocket money. It's the cost of one large cappuccino. And there it is, www.patreon.com/Geelong Region Soccer Show. Support the show that supports your sport, folks. And we'll pop that up again there, right there. All the details are there. www.patreon.com/Geelong Region Soccer Show. Folks, that, like as I said, that wraps up tonight's show. But we will be back next Sunday for the Football Out West show. A very, very special episode when my former co-host of the Geelong Region Soccer Show, who's now my co-host with the Football Out West show, Steve Curtin, Craig Filer, and myself, we will be looking at all of the divisions, the State League and the NPL divisions, and we'll be looking at who the likely promotion candidates are and who the likely relegation candidates are as well. That awaits us next Sunday, 8 p.m, and it's streamed live also on this very, very Facebook page. Folks, until next week, thank you very much for being a part of tonight's show. Really, really appreciate it. Good night, and whatever you can, apart from obviously signing up and becoming a member of the Geelong Region Soccer Show, is this weekend, get out and about and take in one, take in two, maybe take in three games of local football, because they are really, really spread out this weekend. An opportunity for everyone to go see at least one team in action. Good night.